So you guys said you want to see more of what I actually do in my day-to-day life. And well, my day-to-day life is 90% troubleshooting. So here we are, welcome back to ImWateringPSUs, and here we are with a broken PC. Now, little advice for all of you who wants to get into hardware, or you want to become a technician, or you're considering it, because it's a pretty easy career to get into, and if you actually like tech, it's super easy to start and there's good money to be made. Well, you guys see me build computers here every week, multiple computers per week. That's not really where the money is at, because even if you are building computers for a living, you're gonna get a lot of people that try to build a PC for themselves. They build it wrong, the PC doesn't work, or it doesn't work properly. They bring it to you, or they're gonna bring you a PC and then you're gonna have to troubleshoot it and then upgrade it. Or they're gonna just bring you a broken computer like this one. So 90% of your life is going to be troubleshooting. So I think you should start to get comfortable with it. So this PC is actually a bit special because this is a PC I built and it was my daily computer for a while. However, I gave it to someone for free as a gift a few years back because I had to move. It was a strange period of my life and they used it since. However, they had a power supply break recently. They replaced it with a new one and then it broke again. So the PC now doesn't turn on. So here we are today. Call this vlog, I guess, but this is basically, let's troubleshoot this computer. This is not going to be a full guide on how to do proper troubleshooting on a dead computer, because you should follow some steps, and to show them all to you, I would have to do like a 30 minutes educational video, which I don't think would be entertaining. Instead, I'm gonna show you what I actually do, which may be very chaotic, but it's how I operate. So first step, let's try to turn the PC on. Now, I got myself a plug on this desk so I can show you guys live how prepared am I. So we plug it in, we check for LEDs. 0 LEDs. We try to turn it on. Doesn't turn on. So I was expecting that, even though I didn't try it off camera, because listen, if one time your power supply breaks and then your PSU doesn't turn on, problem is not the PC. Problem is your electrics in your house. So what I have here already in pre-fire, you might call it, is a very old $15 used power supply. So it's a Cooler Master GX650. Now I know this is enough because this PC has an i5 8600K with a GTX 1080 in it. So this should be plenty. Also, this power supply, I wish you could feel it, is around 5 kilos heavy, because back in the day they knew how to make power supplies. So even though this is a very old unit, this has more than 10 years and it's 80 plus white, this is a great little unit to go into here. So I say first step of troubleshooting is we just randomly plug this one in from the front. Let me show you how I do it. PC is very dusty already, you can tell. Let's unplug the 24 pin, the GPU, and the 8 pin. Now what we're doing is, without mounting this one in for no reason, we're just leaving it outside and plugging it in. A very common mistake is people swap out parts and they actually mount them. And if you do that, you're gonna waste a lot of time. But if you just plug stuff on the go, you're gonna save a lot of time. It's one of the most important skills if you're a technician, like genuinely. First step is going to be this. Then we're gonna see if our old power supply actually works. If now this PSU works, the old one is gone for sure. But if this one also doesn't work, we will have something to see. So plug it in, and immediately I still see 0 LEDs. But maybe the PC doesn't have LEDs. So let's try to turn it on again. Still no signal. Well, the motherboard has a turn on button. Still no signal. Things are getting tougher, huh? It's not just a power supply. Perfect. Well, it's the worst possible scenario. So at this point, what we have to do is probably check the motherboard. Because why check all the components around the motherboard when it may just be the motherboard? So no point testing out our graphics card yet. We just need to test out our motherboard. And the best thing to do is to, unfortunately, take it off the case. So let's go ahead. Now, visual inspection is your biggest asset. And what I inspect is that, check this out. Motherboard flexes too much because it's missing a screw over there. Now screws, sometimes they don't really matter. Sometimes they matter even too much. This time, if the motherboard flexes too much, it can actually crack. So that could be an actual problem. Also, as you can see, we have a readout code there. So let's hope it's not the motherboard, because I don't think I can find one for this socket. And it would be genuinely a shame to have this one break. Now, first of all, if you're gonna do this kind of job, just be prepared to have to deal with that. With that, you have to not mind dirt too much. We are taking off the CMOS battery now. If you're wondering why we didn't do it to begin with, it's very simple. So if the BIOS is locked, sure, the PC is not gonna boot, but it's still gonna react to the power button being pressed. So this actually makes no difference with our current problem. We also know that this one is done as a battery because the guy told us that basically the PC was prompting him into the BIOS every time, which means battery is dead. So this one is going in the trash. Now the GPU is coming off, which is just a few screws. Here it comes. This one is surprisingly clean. It's a very good Palit JetStream model. And if I'm fixing it, I am vertical mounting it because, I mean, check this out. This is gonna be sick. And now I have to tell you a little secret, okay? So this one is a Z170 gaming K6 from ASRock. And you probably may have noticed that I said we have an 8600K in there. Well, this is one of the motherboards where I've done my BIOS mod, the Coffee Lake on Skylake mod. So this motherboard is BIOS modded, which allows us to put any CPU from 6th to 9th gen on this motherboard. That's why I would be very sad if this has actually been shorted out. Anyways, let's move forward to troubleshooting. Next step, just as confirmation, we have connected 24 pin to itself, and we are now gonna see if the PSU fan spins. Let's see. It doesn't. So the power supply is actually fried, which leads to me thinking that the motherboard is probably shorted, unfortunately. But again, let's move forward. Also, little double check, the fan on this one is spinning, but this one we know is working. By the way it's looking, we're probably gonna have to take off the motherboard eventually, but the last step before actually taking it physically off the case is to unplug every single thing on the motherboard itself, because we are still hoping something else may be shorted and something else may be the culprit of our PC not working. So we are just very quickly unplugging everything. Little interruption, but I just have to do it. This PC is gonna be washed if it ever works again. I'm telling you, it's going straight in the garden. Anyways, what I've done now is I've plugged everything in and I have disconnected everything. Now check this out, okay? I specifically unplugged the SATA power for the NZXT water cooler. Why? Because I figured if the PSU shorted out, it may have broken the actual SATA connector, and this may be short in the PC. Now this may seem far-fetched, but it's just something extra I thought I'd do. And now we just have CPU, RAM and motherboard, and let's see our last chance if we get it to power on. So power on, and now we press this simple button over here and we take a look. Haha! And now it's working, so we don't have to remove the motherboard for no reason. This little thing here did not break it yet, but we're gonna fix it fast, and the motherboard is working. Now if it doesn't boot, it's another kind of problem, but it's an easy fix, okay? I say we still give another chance to the power supply, the old one though. We open up the back and we see what exactly is going wrong. And worst case, we just put the new power supply in, we put the GPU back in vertical, and the PC is working. I am a little scared to open this thing. Okay, it's not too bad, but yeah, it's one of these cases with everything blocked. This is our SATA, which may be the problem, so we are just undoing it. And now I want to try to plug it in with that power supply before taking it off for good. Okay, it's destroying itself on the front. Actually, we don't have too much, but we do have some RGB stuff disconnected, but okay, let's plug the power supply. Now everything is free, we have nothing connected, and we're just trying to turn the PC on. Just because I'm delusional, because I know the PSU is broken by this point, and it is broken. So we're doing a PSU swap. Yay, let's go. Now right here, place the PSU in and the PC is fixed, right? However, I say we wash it because it's too dirty. So guys, washing time. You can see that the CPU is not quite right. Well, back in the day, I used to delete stuff and not relate it. So as you can see, oof. Things got quite a bit messy, so we had to do a jump forward, but now this is fully working and I will tell you what I've done to it. So basically, I've dismounted everything and washed it down with the garden hose because it was necessary to just get the gunk out. The thing was extremely dusty, and since it's got such nice hardware and also it's so special as kind of build, I figured it was the right thing to do. A single day out in the Italian sun was enough to dry it, and after that we went ahead and did a full repaste on both the CPU and the GPU. Now on the graphics card it was pretty straightforward to repaste. I just opened it up and replaced the thermal paste, which was very dry, and left thermal pads there because they are still pretty decent, and also these cards with GDDR5 don't really draw too much power. But on the CPU things were quite a bit more difficult because, as you can see, the previous paste was improperly changed, so it was only covering a part of the CPU, but the CPU was still running fine, which goes to show that if the part immediately over the die itself on the CPU is covered with paste, it's gonna be enough most times. However, things do not end there because this PC is actually pretty special. It is an i5 8600K on a Z170 motherboard, which is non-compatible for this CPU. So what I did back in the day is I BIOS modded this motherboard. I still have a full tutorial on the channel on how to do it. It was one of my first videos which really took off, and I was doing a lot of BIOS modding back in the day. Even though if you're a new follower, you probably don't know, I'm heavily into GPU BIOS mod and just BIOS mods in general. You can get insane stuff going with that. I was putting NVMe SSDs on non-compatible motherboards, enabling UEFI boot, doing a lot of strange things back in the day. This was simply an extension of the socket support, so we could run a higher end CPU. So while I was at it, I figured why not put liquid metal in it. So this still had liquid metal in it from 7 years ago. So it was great to just open it up and see how the liquid metal was doing. After multiple thermal paste changes, the PC being moved around a lot, and surprisingly, it was dry, but it was still going. So I just added a little bit. I may have spilled it a little bit, but then I fixed it. As you can see by the end temperatures, which are absolutely insane, we are talking, I left it for 3 hours in Prime 95 with an ambient temperature of 30 degrees because it's summer in Italy and it's scorching hot, and the PC still did not exceed 70 degrees. In gaming, it stays at 60. These are temperatures so low, also on the GPU, which stays at around 70, while vertical mounted, which I did for very cheap with a 20 bucks extension, which I had lying around. Since the case supported this Cooler Master H500P, GPU still runs in the 70s. These are numbers which we dream about in modern hardware. Even the Ryzen 7 9800X3D, which is a great CPU, very efficient, it goes to like 85 degrees even with a good cooler. This CPU is at 60. This is what I believe to be the golden era for hardware in recent times. Now, at that point, I was also curious to do a little bit of performance testing, and while the CPU Z-score certainly isn't impressive, by the way, you can see the different chipset and CPU non-compatible in there, the Firestrike was still very impressive. This thing has maximum performance compared to the stock. It has the exact same performance compared to when it was the first time built, and it can run Warzone. So I played at 1080p for a while, and I was actually exceeding 100 FPS in lighter areas of the map. In heavier ones, we were going around 80 FPS, but it is very playable. You can probably play 144 Hz Warzone. You can also probably play Apex Legends at 144 Hz, and Fortnite you can actually play easily at 144 Hz. So this little beast, which is not very little because it's massive, still packs a punch in 2025, and it was definitely worth saving. And this is a lot of behind the scenes stuff with troubleshooting which goes on regularly. And if you have passion for hardware, you're also going to take the extra step to clean it up, maybe customize it a little bit like you did with the GPU, and it is going to pay off in satisfaction but also performance in the long run. So with that said, do let me know if you like this kind of video. It's a bit different compared to usual, and if you did, drop a like and subscribe, and I really hope to see you guys again in another video if you decide to stay. Bye bye, take care.